Welcome everybody to today's video where we're going to talk about metaphysical messaging, which is how to use words and the energy of words to attract and enroll high-ticket clients into your programs and into your stuff. I'm John Patrick Muller. I'm a former Buddhist monk. I have a lot of experience in my marketing business when I was a marketer for others and also for myself and for my partners and for helping my clients using words to attract people. I did it with ads, I did it with funnels, I did it with videos, I did it with social media posts and emails, and I can help you too. And in this video, I'm going to share with you one really special formula that is kind of the condensation of all copywriting formulas, I believe. Okay, there's 8 parts, and we're going to cover that in this video. It's going to be freaking amazing. And please like and comment and share and subscribe and all that kind of stuff, because I'm not going to hold anything back and I don't want you to either. So please do that. And also, if you get inspired by this and wish to get my help to grow your business, to write content for you, and to market your stuff and to partner with you, we'd love to help you. You can apply below. You can click one of the links and I'm happy to serve you. Okay, so in this video, we're going over messaging. Now remember, this is how you use words, but not just words. Remember, words are carriers for meaning. They're like a vehicle for meaning. And meaning is what touches a person's mind. The meaning is what evokes emotion in others. So different words, right? A word is just a sound. You could say a sound in one language and it could be completely meaningless, and it doesn't evoke any emotion at all in somebody else. And you could say that same sound in a different language and it evokes, maybe there's a meaning there, and it evokes a completely different emotion in the listener, right? And the emotion has an energetic component and a mental component, right? Emotions are not just one or the other. The way we commonly think of them, they're both, right? Emotion has an energetic component. We feel something, there's something in our body, the energy, etc. But also there's a mental component of actual literal thought patterns and that kind of stuff, states of consciousness, right? But we have to admit that it's not the sound that evokes that. Some people think, I've heard this a lot, this is false. It is false that the sounds themselves carry the energy, right? There is energy. So the intention of the speaker has energy. The intention of the speaker and the meaning that they understand has an energy. So sometimes when we hear someone talk, of course, we pick up on the energy of the speaker. We pick up on the energy of the spoken word, right? Someone has a clear intention, they have a beneficial intention, they have a loving intention. Like, I can hear my wife say something loving, and like I can see it in her eyes, like, and I feel the energy of it, right? And so the intention of the speaker combined with the meaning that they are comprehending when they say that word is something that we can pick up, but that's not the sound. The sound itself is not like the vibration that somehow affects us. The thing that affects us based of the sound is actually just the meaning that we interpret combined with feeling the energy of the speaker. Okay, so for you, this means that as a influencer, as a speaker, as a leader, you are a leader, you're a conscious leader. If you're watching this channel, you're either a conscious leader or you're an aspiring leader, conscious leader. You're probably both, right? Everyone aspires to be better, and you're already a conscious leader to some extent. So I know that's who you are, which is good. And that means that you have the responsibility to understand things correctly, to understand correct meanings, and to understand things in a beneficial way with intelligence, with wisdom, with your good heart, but also to have good intentions. So when you speak, you want to have clear understandings that are beneficial and, in line with the truth. And you want to also have good intentions to be of service and to benefit the people that are listening with love or with compassion, with empathy, etc. And this will create the right emotion, the right energy on your part. And then the words that you say will carry that vibe for sure. Okay? But here, sometimes we have just the written word. And so we need to make sure that we choose words that actually, they trigger meaning. People talk about triggers. Everything's a trigger, right? You see a sunset, that's a trigger for a happy thought sometimes, right? Everything can be a trigger. It's not like negative. We talk about triggers being negative things. Everything's a trigger, right? Everything triggers us to understand meaning, to recollect meaning. And that has an effect on us, actually. Okay, so getting back to this main point, we want to do that. And today I'm going to share with you a formula. So the simple 3-step formula that I'm going to share with you, there's a 3-step version, and then you can expand it into 8 steps. So the 8 steps version is just the expanded version of the 3-step. The 3-step one is so simple that I know you're going to remember it. I'll tell you right now. Okay? So essentially you need to to message people, to have great content and emails and stuff, you want to be inspiring, you want to share an insight, and you want to give an invitation. So those are the 3 main steps. So there's an inspiration, there's an insight, and an invitation. So you can say inspire, insight, invite. I guess that's the best way to say it. Inspire, insight, invite. Inspire, insight, invite. For example, you can inspire people by having them think about their best life. Do you want to experience true and lasting happiness? That's an inspirational question, right? True and lasting happiness is possible. That's inspiring. Inspiring means that our faith gets involved. It means that we start to see pure things with pure eyes, right? Would you like to meet your spiritual guides, right? Today, I met God and Jesus directly in my inner vision. That's inspiring. That's an inspiring sentence. People of some target audience, not everybody, but some people will hear that and think that is inspiring, right? Recently, a friend of mine shared a post about how her guides took her to the Arctic Circle, right? Twice in her vision, meditation, and blah, blah, blah. It was very inspiring because there is divine energy conjoined with what she was saying. That's really inspiration. Like, inspiration means that the words are access points and infused with, inseparable from, divine consciousness, right? And so essentially the words need to be sort of mirrors that reflect, they're angled towards divinity. So when someone sees it, they see the word, but also within the word is a little bit of a reflection of divinity, and by engaging with the words, they see divinity. That's actually what inspiring words are. Okay, so you want to make sure that you are using inspiring language, because why? Because inspiration is the highest form of motivation. There's lots of ways to motivate somebody. You can motivate someone using negative emotions. You can make them get greedy and attached, full of expectations, that kind of thing. You can motivate someone with guilt and shame, right? You can motivate someone with fear, right? There's lots of ways to motivate someone, and in the world of marketing, you will see lots of this, especially using greed, and not just greed, but like sticky desire. We say like attachment. It's called desirous attachment within Buddhism, right? It means it's a type of desire that has unrealistic expectations infused within it, and it makes you get stuck on things that are not actually good for you. That's what it means. So that is the most common form of motivation that people are actually addicted to. So people, like, as a marketer and online business person, you can't really get away from this because all your clients have it. We all of us, me, you, everybody that you know, we all have some level of this attachment or uncontrolled desire, sticky desire. It's a desire that's infused with unrealistic expectations. It's a false understanding of where happiness comes from. It thinks that happiness comes from outside of us, or that suffering comes from outside of us. And then it gets us stuck to things that are not good for us, right? And so posting a picture of a McDonald's double cheeseburger, but it's like the lighting is perfect and there's a hot woman about to take a bite or whatever, and there's the McDonald's Monopoly game. You can see it there and you're like, oh, maybe I could win. So like they're like getting you hooked on something that isn't good for you. That is common. And since we all have we all have this type of attachment within us to some degree. And so your clients are going to have it. And so occasionally it's okay to like appeal to that type of mind, as long as in your program or service you can help them to release it. That is ethical and okay. But that's not the highest form. The highest form is to use inspiration. Inspiration is faith. It's getting people to be pulled towards something that's actually good for them. And it's using it, it's like we're moving towards something in the right way, in the best way. It is actually a transformational power. Inspiration is a prerequisite for transformation. We have to be inspired in order to transform, actually. We have to be. Okay? And so as a conscious leader, the way you can start your client relationship off best with your ideal clients is to start off by inspiring them, right? Because then all of a sudden a door opens in their mind, and now they're open to receiving divinity through you into them. That's cool. And that will set your relationship off on the right foot. So I highly recommend being inspiring. And so how do you do this? You want to start thinking about, what does the future look like for them? What is the best future? You're kind of selling the future is really what we do in our businesses. We're coming up with an idea of the future, a particular version of the future that includes them and includes their best life and includes you as a guide for them, I think. And you kind of talk about that. And that's gonna, because it's an aspect of truth, because it's a better future, because it's something that's actually good for them, and that it is a potential for them. If it was a lie, if it was not possible, then that's not an aspect of truth, in which case it's not true inspiration. They can only get hooked on it in a negative way. Our negative emotions, such as desires, attachment, can only get hooked on things that are not true. It never actually comes in when things are true, right? It can't, right? It only apprehends versions of reality that are false. Right. And so if a marketer or if a business person, a leader is promoting something that is unrealistic, a person can't really get inspired by that. They can only get inspired by things that are realistic, if that makes sense. And so you'll end up with the wrong types of clients if you use attachment. Only attachment can get hooked on things that are not true. It's interesting, isn't it? Okay. And so what do you do about this? Well, you try to be inspiring. So come up with like the better version of the future, and then kind of invite them in. Use your language to like ask, like questions are good hooks, right? Do you want this? Would you like this? Can you see this? Right? Would you benefit from this? And that will get their inspiration to start working, to start seeing. Their inspiration will come to life, so to speak. Okay, so the first step is to inspire. The second step is insight. And so whether you're offering something or you have an ad, or if it's just like a normal piece of social media content, like when you write content every day or a few times a week, you want to add value to your audience's lives. And so in either case, one of the pivotal pieces of your content or ad or whatever is insight, of your message. Is a core part of your message is an insight. You want to share with them one new belief, just one. This is the tricky part. A lot of people do more than one, and then their audience can't keep up with it. It's too much to digest, and their eyes glaze over, and they're full, and they just keep scrolling, or they just click away, right? This is a big mistake. Is either we share stuff that's fluffy with no useful insights in it at all, or we have too many of them and then it's too heavy. It's really better to have one. Every post should have one new insight in it, period. Not more and not less, right? There's occasion when you can have 0, obviously, if you're just reminding them of something or whatever, right? Or just being fun or playful. But like in a full message post, there's like one new insight, just one. And so this actually takes a little bit of clarity for ourselves to learn to like distill our message into like, what's the one belief that if my client had it, they would want to work with me. This is an exercise that could change your life if you do this. If you do this thought process, you will change your whole life. Come up with this idea, with this belief. What is the one belief that if your client had it, it would make them want to work with you? If your potential client had it, they would want to work with you. Okay, now here I'm using the word insight and belief in the same way. Insights and beliefs are pretty much identical, right? Insight means that you're seeing something. A belief, people use the word belief in ways that are just not that factual these days, right? We talk about beliefs being something like what our religion taught us. Oh, I believe this, I believe that. Those are not true beliefs necessarily. A lot of times they're very superficial. I'm not talking about dogmatic beliefs that are scripted, that someone else gave to you. That's somebody else's belief that you're trying to force on yourself. That is not a belief as held by your mind. Does that make sense? I'm talking about a subjective belief, something that you actually can see and therefore you believe it. Is that clear? You want to actually see the truth or see some aspect of truth and then you believe it. You can't really believe something more than what you can see it, actually, right? Now, of course, you can use belief to then create your reality for sure. But still, here we're talking about a subjective insight, right? You actually, even if it's inferential knowledge, even if you only believe it because a mentor told it to you, like it still functions. You can still work with that, right? So here the word belief and the word insight are compatible, or they're interchangeable. But don't think of dogma here. Dogma is not that. Dogma is something that is trying to be forced on us, and they're not held very deeply, right? Oh, my religion believes this, and so therefore I do. That's not, you probably don't even believe it, right? I'm talking about like something that you actually can see and that you believe. Like I'm talking about a transformational belief. I guess that's the best way to say it. I'm talking about transformational beliefs. Here we're going to call them insights, okay? And so it's an insight. And you want to just come up with one, and this is actually an exercise that will make you a better leader, a better speaker, a better writer. If you can take all of your ideas and just condense it to one. I did this, I had a lot of practice at this when I was at the temple in 2 ways. One is that when I taught meditation classes, me and a friend would ask each other. My friend taught a class and I taught a class, and we were like growing into becoming very good teachers, right? And so we were helping each other to grow and be better. And she would ask me, hey, like, what's your teaching about? And if it took me a lot of sentences, it means that I didn't really understand it. It means I wasn't fully ready yet for the class. I was still preparing. And if I could say in just one sentence, this is what my class is about, that means it was going to be a good class. And same with her, right? If she could just be like, my class is about this, that meant, wow, she really knew it. She was so ready. If it was like, this, if it was too many things, it was just a jumbled mess. It wasn't going to be a clear class yet. Okay, so try to condense your things into just one new idea. The other way is when I would read my spiritual texts. When I would read those, we would all study these spiritual books, and then we would take every paragraph and try to condense the paragraph into just like a couple words, or even like one sentence or like a phrase. Like what's one phrase or even just like a couple words that you can say that would remind you of the whole paragraph? And that exercise got you to like find the essence. What's the essence of this? And that was a helpful exercise. And as you're creating content, you want to kind of meditate my best content always comes after meditation sessions and stuff, right? So like you can meditate on your stuff, not necessarily for the purpose of creating content, but like you should be doing meditation every day. Like you should be meditating, right? Like whatever inner work is helpful for you, but like meditation is a very focused form where you get to like reflect. Things get condensed, you're focused. You start to have less less thoughts, but each one is more potent. When you can do this, you can kind of take your content and come up with like, what's the one core thought? Okay, now there's specialized ways of doing this when you're doing marketing, and that is with what I already shared. You ask the question, what is the one belief that if a person had it, they would want to work with me? Now there's a way of doing this like as a core belief overall for your whole business, and that is something I definitely can help you with. And I do that in the presentations. When I help my clients create what I call a prosperous presentation, like a workshop or a video on a page or a masterclass or a retreat or whatever, there's usually just like one core idea that we build the entire thing on. Okay, this is what I've done, and it works really, really well. Okay, so I can help you do this in a marketing way, if you wish, for your whole business. And again, you can apply below to find out more. But even just on your own, for all of us, all the time, every day when we make a post or whatever, every week or whatever, come up with like, just think about that question beforehand. What's the one belief that I can share today? Maybe not like the one core belief overall from my whole business, but like what is one cool belief that if a person had it, they'd want to work with me, right? What is one insight that if they really held it for themselves, it would point them towards my stuff, right? That's a cool thought process. And then that goes into the post. So far we have your inspire, you have your insight, and then you have the invite. Invite is pretty normal, right? You know what that means. It means to invite them into your stuff, invite them into your world. It could be invite them to comment. It could be invite them to message you. It could be invite them to click. You could invite them to check back tomorrow for your live. You could invite them to join your community or to buy your course, right? The invite can be for many things. Usually we say that we invite them to the next step. In marketing, the way that I have learned that works really well, unless you have a very established brand, which some of you might, but a lot of us don't, we kind of build up what we do without a big brand. And so in this way, we can brand ourselves all along the way, that's fine, but we also invite people to the next step. We're not very well known yet, so you don't expect people to go from one piece of content to buying something right away. You put a step or two in between the content, like the first interaction all the way to the purchase. There's at least one step in between, okay? And usually that step is somehow you're going to capture their information, or you're going to add them to a community, or you're going to somehow just understand that they're interested so that you can follow up with them. For example, comment on this post. Comment on this post if you're interested, and I'll message you with more information. Okay, so now they comment. Now underneath your post, you have a list of comments. These are your list of leads. You can now focus on them to follow up with them. And then you have the DM, right? Now in the DMs, that's a way to follow up with people. And so you don't expect people to go right from the content to the purchase like you would with Apple. Like an Apple advertisement that you see on TV, their ads are so good and their brand is so good and their product is so good and it's so easily available. Everybody can figure out how to go buy one. Their website is so good that they don't need to really do this process because of their brand and the trust that their product has over time, right? This is something that we should all try to build potentially, but it's not a good way we don't depend on it in the beginning. In the beginning, we depend upon creating a community or some way for us to keep in touch with people over time to build a relationship. It's kind of like going to a networking meeting. You don't just go to a networking meeting dressed really nice and expect people to call you. to work with you, you go to the networking meeting and you collect other people's business cards and you give them yours, and you might even arrange a time to have a meeting with them. That's what we do with marketing. We do it like networking, right? So especially on Facebook. So you make content and then you create a way to keep in touch with people, knowing that they may want to build a relationship with you over time to discover your brand, right? Before they say yes to working with you. That is what we do, okay? And so that is why the invite step is usually not going to be to buy your stuff. The invite step is usually going to be for some intermediate step, such as comment here, click the link, right? The link might be an opt-in page, DM me, or join my workshop, or join my free community, or whatever, right? I think you guys get it. So you put in at least one intermediate step between the content and the offer, usually. Not always, right? Usually, if you have a brand, you can go right from one to the other, but still wouldn't work best for your high-ticket stuff, probably. There's gonna be some step, even if it's just DMing or a phone call, right? Or a live workshop. So there's gonna be some intermediate step, invite them to that, and then from that, you do a whole new marketing stuff that we already talked about in the presentation video and in the sales videos, and then from there, you invite them to work with you. And again, if you want my help to set this up, me and my team would love to help you and support you. You can apply below, because this is what we do. Okay, so those are the three main steps. We just covered the three main steps: inspire, incite, invite. Now, does this mean that you always need a call to action on all of your content? No, right? In fact, when you write content for social media, most of the time, it's good to not actually have a call to action. Most of the time, at least 50% of the time, we should not have call to actions. Why? Because first of all, it fatigues your audience. They get bored. It puts too many negative emotions in them. We just don't want to do that. Maybe 30% of the time at the most, you should have call to actions. The other reason is that people don't need them. If you occasionally make a call to action, and if your content is good, they're gonna know what you do. They don't need you to specifically invite them to work with you every time, because they already know the invitation's on the table, right? They're already thinking about it probably, right? So it's just unnecessary. In fact, many of the posts that I have made that directly led to clients, and I know that it has because I tracked it and my clients told me why they joined, most of them were not. Well, I'd say at least 50% of the posts that I made that led to clients didn't have a call to action on them. It's because if you do the other parts correctly, you do not need a call to action, because it's obvious. People already know. People already know that they can work with you. They already know that they can reach out. They already know that they can DM you. They already know that they can comment. They already know they can find your link and book a call. Does that make sense? And so it's just not necessary. And it just almost sounds cheesy if you do it too much. It sounds corny, it sounds cliche. And so one thing that I do as my invite step, when I leave out an explicit invitation, I include something else. And so there's two things that you can include. So one thing is you kind of just invite them to comment. Why? Because it just gets more engagement on your post, and it gets more interaction, and it makes them feel closer to you, and it gives you more reach. And so you just kind of invite people. You can ask a question related to your post, share a heart, drop a heart if you resonate, or share your biggest takeaway, or has this ever happened to you? Tell me about your experience below, or do you agree or disagree? Even that's a question, right? Even that's kind of an invitation, right? You're inviting them to comment. Maybe that's the next step, is you're just inviting them to comment. Do you agree or disagree? Or do you agree, or do you know what are you picking up what I'm putting down? That is technically an invitation, and it is good to do that sometimes. Another way is I kind of take the energy of my post and I turn it up to gratitude. Okay, so I kind of I flip it back. So essentially in my post, I'm gathering energy. I'm bringing attention in. People are loving it. They're getting good stuff. And then instead of having a call to action, I say something about gratitude to the universe or my mentors or divinity or whatever. And somehow it just kind of sows the seeds back into the universal field, which makes it come back to me even stronger. You can try it. Just end, if you want to experiment with this, end your post with a statement of gratitude that is relevant to your post. I promise you it does better than any call to action that you could possibly make. One of my clients who joined a few months ago told me that she was so relieved on our first coaching call. She said, "I'm so relieved to hear you say that I do not need a call to action on all my posts." She was not making content because she thought she needed a call to action on every post. That is, it is not true, and it's sad that somebody believed that. And I hope that you don't believe that either. You do not want to put a call to action on all your stuff. People are not going to want to watch it if you always do that. Okay, and they already know. And so just say something about gratitude and it'll actually work better. I promise you it'll actually work better. Okay. So those are the first 3 steps. Those are the main 3 steps. Now I can insert, within that, I'm going to insert 5 additional steps into that framework. So there's 8 in total, but there's not 8 separate ones. It's just 8 total with 5 new ones that I add into these 3, if that makes sense. Okay, so the other steps are, so after inspiration, if we were to really expand it, then the next one would be introduction. You're going to introduce yourself. Talk about yourself a little bit. Hi, my name is Bliss, this, and what I do is this, and here's my qualifications, here's my degree or my certification or my experience, or I tell a miniature 1-sentence story about my life in a way that qualifies me as an expert in this topic. You introduce yourself, basically. So after inspiration, you do an introduction. Then you can do imagination. Imagination means that you get them to imagine what their life could look like if they worked with you. So it's similar to the inspiration step. Very similar. And it just has more of an emphasis on, you're just literally guiding them. This way, it becomes like a guided meditation. You're getting them to imagine something beneficial, something good for them, something about what working with you would be like, or joining your program, or something like what their future is like. You're getting them to imagine it. Okay, so that's the next one. So we got inspiration, introduction, imagination, and then we got insight, which we already covered. Okay, and so those are the first 4. Then we got, after that, we have incantation. Incantation, it kind of means that even though you've already shared an insight, now you're gonna say it you're gonna make it into a name. You're gonna name it or say it in some way that's easy for them to remember. It's kind of like boiling down a block of knowledge into a mantra, or taking the core belief and putting a special name on it so that people can remember it. Incantation. It has to do with our speech. People can recite it. They can say it over and over. They can memorize this. They can tell their friends, right? If it's a special little mantra, if it's a little hook, if it's a nice little cool phrase, they might tell themselves and they remember it. They get a lot more value, right? Think about it. If you have watched speakers, maybe on YouTube or maybe in person, or maybe you go to meditation or yoga classes, I can make you a promise. I promise you that the most transformational moments and the things that stick with you for the longest time are the ones that can be condensed into just a few words. When the speaker shares a special little phrase, boom, that's what you write down, that's what you remember, that's what you use in your daily life. It's powerful. Even if all the clarity was there and all the power is there, but the speaker left out that little special phrase, you would not remember it very well. You would not practice it that much. It would have less impact on your life. Speakers who are the most masterful can take a very beautiful, rich, profound topic, and they can condense it into just a couple words or a special phrase, a power-packed phrase, like a mantra. And then it deeply impacts you. Everyone in the audience gets it all at once. Everyone writes it down. You remember it. You use it. Boom. And so you want to try to do this for your people. So you may have already shared an insight, but you may have shared it long form. You may have shared the insight already in a way that was kind of wordy. It may have been a little story. It may have taken you a few sentences to get out. The power might be spread over several sentences, right? And so here you want to condense the power into just like the name of a thing. You can name your method. You can name your proprietary process. You can put a name to something special that you do, including your title, I suppose. But that's not really it. It's more like you're naming, you put a special name to the insight. It goes with the insight that you've given them, okay? Or if this is like a longer form thing, maybe you're not just naming your method, you're gonna condense a beautiful sequence of thought into just one power phrase, like a mantra. And boom, trust me, people will get blown away and transformed by this. So you want to have that. It makes it more shareable, it makes it memorable. People will tell their friends, people will think of you because they'll be practicing what you taught them. Okay, so incantation is the next one. And this is one of the ways that we all transform. If you want to become a better person, like you could use words on yourself and you could transform into that person. Just by repeating powerful phrases to yourself, you would literally transform. It actually works. You can do this to your clients. You can say powerful phrases to them to get them to believe things. But again, getting them to believe things with a lot of words, where the meaning is all spread out over multiple words and sentences, it's all good, but it won't stick with them. It needs to be focused, like condensed. That's where the power, that's where the potency is, okay? So that's incantation. The next one is called identity. The next one is intention. This one's very powerful. Intention is one of the most powerful ones. I hope you guys take this one to heart. This one especially is important if you are promoting something or if you're getting them to make a decision to work with you. Like, that's essentially what it is. You're getting people, while they're reading your thing or listening to you speak, to make an intention. You're guiding them to not just have an insight and not just be inspired, but in this case, you're guiding them to create a new intention, which is, I'm ready for this. I'm going to do this now. I want to work with you. I want this result. I want to apply this method. I want to practice what you're teaching. I want this. I want to go now. I'm ready. Whatever. I commit. These are all intentions. And the intention, if they actually come to it, again, like I'm guiding you through the sort of inner work process of messaging, because that's really what it's about. Every time you write a message or content or whatever, you're guiding the reader on a miniature meditation. This is where I learned to do this. I'm a very good meditation teacher. I've learned a high level way to meditate for myself and to guide people as well. Right? I learned from deep, authentic Buddhist sources, and I have a lot of experience in this. I applied myself for a long time to become good at this. And so this skill has transferred into my ability to do copywriting and messaging, because every time I say something, I'm guiding people, the reader or the listener, in a miniature meditation through various experiences, including being inspired, having a new insight, and wanting saying yes to the invite, right? Or the longer form way, as we're covering now, includes intention. They're going to get a new intention. The intention is what directs their action. People do what they intend to do, right? There's always an intention behind every action, literally. Literally every action people do, there's an intention. Even inaction, there's an intention behind it, okay? So you want to guide them to making any kind of relevant intention, anything relevant, include, and especially just one. Just one new one. One, it could be I'm going to move forward, I'm going to work with you, I'm going to apply, I'm going to click, I'm going to DM you, I'm going to go watch your video, I'm going to go to the workshop, I'm going to take your advice and practice it based on this content or whatever. So that's intention. And then the next one is probably invitation. If you're doing this in order, invitation might be the next one. And then the last one is identity. Identity is one of the deepest shifts, the deepest ways that we can transform. If you're trying to help somebody, including yourself, to get a new result, an old identity will hold them back. And even if you do all the other things right, even if you or the person or us or whoever does everything right, but we have an old identity that's really strong and the new identity is very, very weak, we're going to be held back hard. We're going to have massive anchors on us, and it's going to be very hard to transform or to even take action. Taking action is very hard. If the action is not congruent with the old identity, we will not take action, right? Action always includes an identity. This is something about the subtle way that we use our consciousness. This is coming from Buddhism. I can promise you that this is true. You may not understand it that deeply, and even I'm not like saying I realize all the truths directly from my own experience, but I can tell you that this is true. When we take any action, there's always a sense of identity that we have with it. Action requires a sense of identity because every action is performed by a self. Every action is performed by a version of ourself. And so if a particular action that someone is trying to get you to do doesn't jive with or vibe with your version of yourself that you're in that moment, you will not be able to take that action, right? Maybe the action is someone tells you, hey, go on Facebook or go on Instagram and message, 40 people a day. Outreach, cold outreach, and like if none of your identities feels good with that or knows how to do that, you're not going to do it. It doesn't matter, right? And so, but if your identity feels really in line with that for some reason, you'll do it without a problem, right? So identity requires action. Some version of yourself is what's going to take action, and we want to upgrade our self-identity, our identity, regularly to include wherever we want to go. We want to sort of embody our future self. We want to start embodying our future self because this identity has within it the capability of doing every action that we need to do to get there. So you want to start embodying your future self now, actually. Okay? And you want to help your clients to do the same. So when you're writing stuff, you want to help, or speaking or whatever, you want to help people to create an identity that is congruent with moving forward. With whatever action you want them to take, there needs to be an identity that you help them with that is congruent with that makes them want to move forward. Okay? So this is identity. So altogether, we have inspiration, introduction, imagination, insight, incantation, intention, invitation, and identity. Okay, now I wrote out a little, and by the way, you can have more than one invitation. You're not just going to invite people once. You may have one invitation per post, meaning there's one thing that you're inviting them to, but you can actually give the invitation multiple times. Like in this video, I've already invited you to apply to work with us at least twice, and I'll probably do it at the end too. So I have only one invitation I'm making, which is apply, but to work with us, but I might say it multiple times. Same with the other parts, right? Maybe you want to inspire them throughout their I hope that makes sense. Especially with invitation, you're going to be repeating it at least 2 or 3 times in a longer form content. Okay, now I've made a example of this, so I hope you're still with me. Hope this is all good for you. I wrote a little example before I started this video. This is like a made-up fictional example for a made-up fictional offer. Okay, but it would actually work. If someone were to write this and put it out there as an ad or on social media, I guarantee you'd get tons of clicks, tons of interest. You could make a whole business grow from what I'm about to read to you. And if you are in the relationship coaching business, here you go. Here's a good example for you to follow. Okay, so it goes, are you looking to add more love into your life? Do you want to be free of your partnership problems? Do you just know you want more? My handwriting is a little bit messy. Do you just know you were not meant to live alone, wondering when that special person will just drop into your lap? Hi, I'm whoever my name is. I'm John Patrick Muller. I'm Susie Q. And I'm a certified relationship specialist. And in my 10 years experience helping 30 plus women find the love of their dreams, I've seen it all. Find the man of their dreams. So helping 30 plus women find the man of their dreams, I've seen it all, including Patty, a client of mine, manifesting her best match partner after only 2 weeks. And yes, they're still together after 2 years. Jenny, who was hopelessly lonely, going on 6 quality dates a month, including with dream guys, including on luxury cruises and exotic vacations. And Tammy, who finally let go of her ex and is now something really good right now with someone really promising who just proposed, right? And so all this so far I did the inspiring step, and then I did the introduction step, and now my version of the imagination step is sharing client wins so that my reader can put themselves in their shoes. That's the whole point of that step, was I'm trying to get people to put themselves in the shoes of my clients. And so that's the imagination step, but it's very realistic. It kind of doubles as social proof and imagination at the same time. It's a very, very good way to do it. But you don't have to do it like that. You see, the key to lasting love is to become an energetic match for who you're calling in. So that's the insight. So I only have one core insight for this whole post or ad or whatever, which is that the key to lasting love is to become the energetic match for who you're calling in. That is, for me, that's a truth. Okay? By doing this, my clients have up-leveled their love life with ease, quickly, like magic. So I'll just read this part again. You see, the key to lasting love is to become an energetic match for who you're calling in. By doing this, my clients have up-leveled their love life with ease, quickly, like magic. Okay, so see how it all flows? It's almost like I'm reading music. I'm reading prose. I'm reading poetry, right? It almost feels like that. There's a cadence to it. It sounds beautiful. There's a beautiful sound. When people experience your writing, they're going to be reading it to themselves, and the words make sounds inside of them. And you want to have a beautiful sound, like you're playing a harp. That is one of the best ways. It puts people into a beautiful state while they're reading, and then they will associate you with a beautiful state. Okay, you're kind of helping them to feel the state that you want them to feel, and that helps them to get the meaning. Plus, I shared a very, very clear insight. It was very clear, right? And my writing is very clear. This would work really well, right? It's not super hypey. I'm not just making big promises. It's very clearly stated. By saying this, a person's logical mind would be like, oh, that actually makes sense. And I really only want to attract people who can get this. My ideal client is someone who can get this one insight. If I give them 3 or 4 insights, everybody would drop the ball. But if I just give them one, an ideal client will get it. Okay. And it works so fast, you'll be putting down those pathetic dating apps in no time. Are you ready to, so that part was, let's see, what part was that? So the incantation, it works quickly like magic. I call it, so here's the incantation. I call it magic vibe matching. I just made this up today. I call this magic vibe matching. Magic vibe matching, right? That's the process that I named. I coined it, my term. that becomes my intellectual property. I claim that, it's my brand, it's my stamp. I can go get that domain name. I can then put this on my stuff and just claim it. This is my proprietary technology. I own it. If you want it, you gotta come to me, blah, blah, blah. Okay? So I call it magic vibe matching. That's my process. And it works so fast, you'll be putting down those pathetic dating apps in no time. So I make it natural. You can't just follow a formula and it be clunky and unnatural. It has to be natural. It has to read like real, like somebody would talk it. Okay? And now I move, so that was incantation, was the name. Someone gets the name, they're like, ah, they can say that themselves, they can remember that name. Magic vibe matching, that sounds cool. Are you ready to up-level your love life? Are you ready to experience more bliss? Are you ready to get started like yesterday? So that, what part is that? That is intention, right? I'm helping them. I'm not saying you should do this. I'm helping them to develop the intention from within them, right? From within themselves, they'll have this new intention, okay? Click here to learn more, something like that. Then click right here to learn more. So that's the first invitation. Then click right here to learn more. Now don't say, remember, notice I didn't just say click here to learn more, then click right here to learn more. Why did I say that? Because the voice of this author, whoever wrote this, is the voice, this is written in a woman love coach's, relationship coach's voice, right? It's a little bit upbeat, a little bit bubbly. Then click right here to learn more. You have to have a voice that matches what you do. I can do this. I can match voices and create voices in order to help my clients to do better. A lot of my clients used the language I gave them, and even like very specific posts that I wrote with them, and it works. So I can do this for you. I would love to help you with this. You can apply below if you want to. Okay, so then click right here to learn more. So now I get into, now I'm gonna do the identity part. 42 lasting lovebirds have already joined this past month, and 144 have already met their match this year. So 42 lasting lovebirds have already joined this month, and 144 have already met their match this year. So, are you ready to become a lasting lovebird too? So I made up this term. I just made this up just now. Lasting lovebird. It's a little bit corny, but that's okay to do sometimes. If you're corny or cheesy or whatever, you can do it in a small dose. I think people actually like it. You don't want to do it much, though. Don't want to do it too much. Are you ready to, so to become a lasting lovebird too. So lasting love. So I'm kind of positioning lasting love as being the result that I help them get. Lasting love is my main result. And so I'm calling my students lasting lovebirds. Why? Because it creates an identity for them where the result is right there. And so if my potential client reading this decides I'm going to become a lasting lovebird, then it's easy for them to take action and to click and to say yes and to work with me, right? So I think that's it. Then you just maybe do one more invitation, and that was a very beautiful post or ad or whatever. So literally, a relationship coach could use that and it would work, I promise. And I love you all. If you want our help to help you with your copywriting and stuff, we'd love to help you. Click below to get more info and stuff. And I'd love to help you to become the metaphysical messaging magicians that I know you are. Okay, have a great day. Talk to you soon.